Hello everybody, this is Charles Pedroso of the Pedroso team, Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage in White Plains, New York. Today I'm going to talk with you or open up the conversation on a series of videos that we plan to post over the near term, the next few weeks or so, where we break out some of the scenarios that support real life scenarios, real life properties existing today in our marketplace that support some of the information we're going to share with you today. And you should know the intent that we have. Our goal in this series of videos is to share with you the options that you can create for yourself as a potential homeowner instead of maybe pursuing a tenancy or a rental situation where you are the tenant, where you have fewer options for yourself, and in many cases where you're creating a liability for yourself, and clearly there's no passive income associated with it, and much fewer opportunities for tax deductions, and that is keeping more of what you're earning based on some of the expenditures associated that come with home ownership versus, say, becoming a tenant. So, this conversation really was sparked from a conversation we often have with prospective tenants. We often find that when someone is looking for an apartment to rent, that they have designs or they have desires to become a homeowner, but they don't know, certainly financially, if it's something they can achieve. If they're a first-time homeowner, sometimes the idea of becoming a landlord instead of being the tenant, because it's something they're not necessarily familiar with, is something they tend to shy away from. But oftentimes, what you're doing, or what we do, if we make that choice, is closing the door on opportunities that we can have for ourselves. So I'll give you a quick scenario, and then I'll walk you through some of the ways you may be able to accomplish this. So for instance, if you have a small retirement nest egg, a 401k, a 403b, something that comes from the workplace that you've established through your workplace, and you don't need much, 10, 20,000 or more in that nest egg, or even some cash, or maybe there's a family gift, or maybe there's a couple that can pool together some money. You have the opportunity then to become a homeowner instead of a tenant. And let's say you said, well, we can only afford, or we only want to budget for a certain a level of housing expense, say somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 approximately. Well, in Westchester County, you'll certainly have options for renting an apartment at that price. However, if you understood the math associated with, say, purchasing a two-family home where you become a landlord and now the tenant is paying some, and in the extreme cases, most, if not all, of the housing expense, at least that housing expense that's associated with the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payment. That's the mortgage, the property taxes, and the homeowner's insurance. If most of that liability was paid for by dollars you're receiving in passive income from a tenant, and then you are net out of pocket, the amount of money you're asked to come out of pocket with after you've received that rental to make your mortgage payment is significantly less oftentimes than what you might pay in the form of a rental payment. And then consider the fact that there's so many tax deductions associated with home ownership, both those associated with the expenses you make as a homeowner for your own apartment, in a portion that applies to you as an owner, as your primary residence, and then those associated with that you'd have to make as a business owner, really, as a landlord, in upkeep and everything else associated with the home. And these are benefits that you don't get as a tenant situation. So what we're saying to you today is it doesn't really take a lot of money out of pocket, and often, and we'll run you through some of these real life examples, often you can have a lower monthly housing expense than you would have, or net monthly housing expense than you would have in the form of a rental payment. Tax deductions associated with it, you may have an opportunity there to really create options for yourself, choices for yourself in the near term and in the future. So some quick scenarios. If you, say, had designs on becoming your own business owner, if you're currently working in a job, let's say, and the job that you have doesn't afford you the income, at least now, to create the wealth that you have designs for, or maybe it doesn't afford you the income to purchase a home in the community that you want to live in, say in Westchester County, New York. Well, if you start the process as a landlord and your first home that you purchase has 2 units where one apartment is occupied by a tenant, which you originally thought or wanted to become, then maybe you can move away from the work that you're doing now and maybe pursue your dreams in, say, entrepreneurship, or give yourself some more free time to spend, say, with family and friends, or maybe there's just some things that you want to do that your current job situation and the liabilities that you have don't allow you to do. Well, if you're receiving passive income and your housing expense is so much lower than what you thought it would be from the beginning, you're getting the tax benefits associated with the home ownership, and then there's a third, which is a great benefit in that, especially in our market, over time, property values have appreciated. So that gives you choices in the future. You may potentially be able to sell that home in the future and receive a large cash sum that you didn't have when you set out the process, that just sort of manifested from the market conditions as they changed. And as I said, historically they've been going up. And yes, there's times where property values dip, but again, over the long haul, property values go up. So you have this opportunity to create this cash flow, recurring cash flow, in the form of rental payment, the tax deductions associated with home ownership, the appreciation where you can increase the value, where the value of the home increases over time, and that you can potentially reap that reward in a lump sum if you decide to sell. And if not, let's say down the road where you wanted to buy the home in a desired community, what if you took the other apartment that you're currently occupying and then have a rental income coming from that? And now what if the combination of both of those rental incomes now pay for over and above or beyond what the current housing expense is, or what the mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance expense is? Now you're receiving a positive cash flow from becoming a homeowner. You've established equity that you could even draw from to make your down payment on the primary residence in the community that you wish to live in. And again, just so many options are created for you. It's a real way to create a foundation for establishing wealth. And that's what we hope to share with you over the next series of videos. So what we're going to do for you is show you some real life scenarios, some real properties that exist in our market today in different cities throughout the county. And we're going to show you the potential rental incomes, what the current market rents are, what the potential housing expense might be for those homes, what the potential out-of-pocket requirements might be for those homes, based on a number of different scenarios where you're either financing closing costs, you're getting help from a seller or a lender in that situation to get closing costs. We're going to walk you through some different programs. Maybe we'll bring in some lenders and have them kind of walk you through some of the programs or options that are afforded to you. Maybe you buy a home that needs some work, but there's some money for that work built into the financing so that you can move into a finished product, and also your tenant. And if there's a home that doesn't have a tenant, we can certainly help you find that too. So look guys, this is what we're trying to do today, is trying to show you the options that might be available to you. If you feel that you must be a tenant, or you don't want to take on home ownership, or you don't want the responsibility associated with it, and you don't see the value in what we're expressing to you, then you pursue becoming a tenant. But you should know that you're probably helping someone else do exactly what we're talking about today, and maybe even more so. Maybe they own it free and clear, and they're just putting that check in the bank every month. So look, we hope that you watch the next series of videos, or the few series of videos that we put out on this topic, and that we hope that you reach out to us and we get into the details and we help you really achieve some of the goals maybe that you already have, or some of the goals that you didn't know were attainable for someone like yourself. So we thank you so much for watching. We wish you all the best. We'll talk soon.